A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. La means no. Ilah means a deity who is worshipped, or a deity who is worthy of worship. For example, in this world, people have made many deities or beings whom they worship, or even idols. Illah means but, or apart from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This means that there is no deity worthy of worship except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now we will look into the word ibadat. The English translation is worship. Ibadat does not merely mean rituals like salat or zakat or hajj. Rather, it encompasses our whole lives. Whatever we do from morning to night, if it is done in the way of sunnah and to seek the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then it can attain the level of ibadah or worship. In this way, our walking, eating, sleeping, everything that we do in a day can attain the level of worship if it fulfills two conditions. The first one is it should be done to seek the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and the second one is that it should be done in the way of sunnah. This form of worship is connected to our personal lives. The other form of worship are in the shape of rights or hukuk. The hukukullah and hukukul ibad. You can explain hukukullah to your children through the 5 pillars of Islam. And hukukul ibad includes all the economical or social, moral values or the rights or the responsibilities we have as a Muslim or a citizen. For example, taking care of parents, relatives, the poor, etc. Therefore, when we are struggling and striving and we're trying our best to fulfill these 3 categories in our lives with the 2 conditions of performing these deeds to seek the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and doing it in the way of sunnah, then it attains, inshallah, the status of the worship. And expect the reward from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone. Intentions play a very important role in worship or ibadah or any good deed that you do. Why are you doing this good deed? Are you doing it to seek the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or are you doing for show off or to get praise from the people around you? If your intention is to get praise from the people and for the show off, then such good deed would have no weight on the scale on the day of judgment. Now we look into the fact of why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala deserves to be worshipped alone. Why should we worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala only? Why all our deeds should be for Him only? Because He is the creator. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created. He is the Al-Khaliq. No one else has created anything. Only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is Ar-Razaq. He is the sustainer. And He is Al-Malik, the king. Maliki Yawmiddin. The ayat is Maliki Yawmiddin. I wrote Al-Malik by referring it as an attribute of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Make a correction. The ayat is Maliki Yawmiddin. He is the king of the day of judgment. And so we are answerable to him only on the day of judgment. He will be the only king on the day of judgment. Why should we worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone? Because He is all powerful. He is almighty. He is As-Sami', Al-Basir, Al-Alim. He is all seeing, all hearing, and all knowing. Only He has the power to help us. No one else has the power to help us. So all our prayers, all our sujood, all our supplications should be for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone. And only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can fulfill our needs of the unseen and the seen. And we are no way to make any partner with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There is no place for shirk in Islam, no tolerance for shirk. No deed is acceptable with shirk. Because a person who is committing a shirk is not fulfilling the conditions of a deed for being acceptable, which are seeking the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and performing it in the way of sunnah. But if a person leaves shirk, seek the forgiveness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and does astaghfar, then inshallah Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will wash away all his sins. Explain in a very simple and easy manner to your kids. And if you have any questions, please ask me in the comment section. Assalamu alaikum.